Hello, 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 hello. Happy Fat Loss Friday for those who are catching me live, or if you're catching a replay, I want to say hello. My name is Robert Ferguson, and this is where we talk about a diet-free life. And this show and the time that I spend here on this channel is all about you being informed so that you can make decisions that will help you live your best and healthiest life as it pertains to the three-legged stool. That's fitness, right? Movement, activity. That includes nutrition, what we eat, how much we eat. And then, of course, mindset, motivation, inspiration, how you think about things, etc. And there's three legs to that stool. Now, if you gave each one of those 33%, as far as like the value of each one of those legs, that would give you 99%. And we all know that it's all about 100%. So where's the lingering 1%? Well, the lingering 1% is what separates and identifies each and every one of us. Some people tip to the 100% by focusing a little bit more on their mindset. Some people have the mindset down. They're not lacking motivation. They got that down, but they have a little bit of a struggle with the fitness part of things. So they lean that 1% that way. And then some people got the fitness, they got the mindset, but they just don't have the nutrition. So then they take and they tip that 1% toward the nutrition. See, everybody benefits from all three legs: nutrition, mindset, and activity. And you'll hear some people say 80-20 is 80% nutrition. No. All of them are important. We all benefit, however, from giving a little bit more effort and attention to the one leg that maybe we're not as skilled in. Now, that being said, I have a link below that can introduce you to our 8-week fat loss challenge. Now, whether you get started and do it with us, which our start date, the official start date, is January 26th. That's a Monday, 2026. We always kick it off and do this the last Monday of the first month of the year. And this is no different. I've been putting on these challenges for over 20 years. And I'm going to tell you right now that this new challenge, by far, is going to be the best one. And I'm defining it as the best one because of what you're going to learn. I have been working my butt off in this space for a long time. And I know a lot about nutrition. I don't meet many people that know it as well, especially when it comes to like helping people drop body fat, optimize health, like help them. There's a lot of people that talk theory, but I've always been that dude, that person that actually gets the job done. Maybe it's my Marine Corps days. Maybe it's my former past being a pro athlete. I don't know. Maybe it's my upbringing on 17th Street in a little city called Anderson, Indiana. Regardless, I get the job done. And I am excited to help you get the job done, whether it's getting your hormones under control, whether you want to drop that stubborn body fat, maybe you just want to feel better. But some really cool things are going to happen in this challenge like never before. Now, I'm going to share a couple things with you to kind of give you insight, because these couple things that I'm going to share are the exact things that's going to make it extremely different. Now, let's just have an open conversation, and I'll answer any questions that you have. But in the 8-week fat loss challenge, the goal is to drop body fat, not just lose weight. So that's a key focus, and it's always been that way with me, right? Fat is what we want to get rid of, not just weight. So I believe most of us will get that, meaning you improve the composition of your body. Okay. And I'm just going to dive right into it. I'm not even going to keep you long. I'm just going to share with you some of the key highlights that makes it unique and different. Okay. So let me share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So as you can see, this is a slide. And in this slide at the very top, it says DFL, that's for Diet Free Life, Metabolic Flexibility Score. Now, when you take this quiz, it's like 6 questions. We got it down. We got it down to where you're going to be categorized or placed into one of 3 categories that's based on how your body, how your metabolism works. And you're like, how are you able to do that with 6 questions? And it's accurate. Now, if you have lab work, it makes it easier. But we still got it covered, even for people who haven't had lab work in years. It would be helpful if you had a scale and you have a tape measure. That will come in handy. But it won't even take you 2 minutes. It won't even take a minute to go through this little assessment and to get your score. And depending on your score, is going to place you in one of 3 areas. So I want to have a conversation and just kind of share with you what these 3 areas are. Now, I created this test, not like overnight. I'm going to say it's a collective process of the last 30 years of my life. And I had this thing called a carb threshold score that helped get it to where it is. And now we have this amazing clarity. Because if you didn't know this, let me share something with you. Everyone's body, everyone's metabolism operates differently. Everyone. And depending on where your body is, which is why you get this score, we're going to show you how to eat in order to optimize where your body is. And everyone's body is different. And your body changes. Your metabolism does change over the years. It's different at 55 than it was at 30. It's different at 80 than it was at 41. It's different. So let me walk you through this, and I think it'll provide some clarity. And I'm going to talk a little bit. This may be a lot, and if it is, don't let that scare you, because we take baby steps in the challenge. So some of you have been with me for years. You know the methodology. You work with me. Some of you are my clients. So some of this will just totally make sense that I'm about to go over. But some of you, this is brand new. You're like, wait a minute. What? But trust me, when you go through this challenge, right, we have 8 weeks. Over an 8-week period, that's 56 days. And over that period of time, you're learning, almost like becoming a nutritionist. But as you're learning, you're applying what you learn, and you're seeing the results as a result. So it's like an experiential. It is an experiential. Okay. So I'm going to show you what this score means and why it's so important. And I'm going to hopefully bring clarity to it so that you see why you would want to know your score. And then why you would want to do what I'm going to share with you as far as combine your foods a certain way based on your score to optimize your outcome. That means your results. Okay. Now, if you're on the YouTube channel, or if you're not, I'm going to encourage you to come over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, tell me hi, say something nice. And we're going to dive in. So I'm looking over at Facebook right now just to kind of make sure that I'm streaming and everything is going the way it's supposed to go. Okay. And if you're on Facebook, just come on. I need to start putting the link when I'm on Facebook or LinkedIn that will link you over to the YouTube channel. Because some of you are really good at being on Facebook and you don't really go to YouTube. So I got to figure out an easy way to help with that transition. All right. So imagine you get a score. I'm not going to go into detail about that. So you see what I have up on the screen. I'm going to go to the first outcome. Now, the first score that you could get would put you in a place where you are metabolically flexible. So let me take a moment and explain what I mean by metabolically flexible. So Our bodies are always burning carbohydrates or sugar and fat for fuel. But our bodies primarily burn one over the other for fuel, right? So your body right now, if you're sitting down watching me, if you go for a walk, depending on what's going on and depending on the state that your body's in, it basically will burn either fat or it'll burn sugar. You want your body to primarily burn fat. So if someone is metabolically flexible, as you can see on the screen, this person is what they also call insulin sensitive. Insulin sensitive, and insulin is a hormone that is largely responsible for how energy is used in your cells all over your body, every cell in your body. And sensitive is not a bad thing. That is actually a great thing. That's where you want to be. That means your body prefers to burn fat. When it does burn sugar, it's short term and it goes right back to burning fat. When that's the case, weight loss is way easier. So in your past, if you're one of those people that would say, you know, Robert, I'm telling you, I used to drop weight so easy. Well, during that time, you were metabolically flexible. You were insulin sensitive. Now, what is that? Okay, so let me take a step back. Insulin is a hormone. And most of the time when people hear insulin, they think of like diabetics or they think about sugar. So whether you're diabetic or not, insulin is very important. If you're a type 1 diabetic, that means your body doesn't produce insulin anymore and you're relying on a pump or you're injecting insulin. We need insulin to live. Without insulin, you wouldn't even be here. However, insulin is an anabolic hormone, meaning it causes growth. Okay, you grow, you get fat, you gain muscle. Okay, a lot of positives and not so positives. Well, insulin is the hormone that's largely responsible or known for helping to get sugar out of the blood and into the cells. But when the cells stop responding to insulin, you're no longer sensitive. You become resistant. So insulin resistance is why many people struggle with losing weight. When you're insulin sensitive, weight loss was way easier. Way easier. When you take this little assessment test, we're going to tell you if you're insulin resistant or if you're insulin sensitive. If you're insulin sensitive, then like you see on the screen right now, you get the title of metabolically flexible. Now, along the way, when you're metabolically flexible, you're going to learn how to make what we call fat burning meals. You learn how to combine your foods in a way where you're maximizing blood sugar as well as the insulin response, or how insulin is triggered in your body. And we help you maximize by showing you how to get your body in a fat burning state. It's like getting the environment to want to burn fat, okay? Your body's environment. So for this person who's metabolically flexible, they could have that steak that you see on the left with that baked potato with butter on it and have some veggies. That's one of 3 meals in a day. And they're going to drop some body fat and they're going to feel great. Energy is going to be good. Everything's going to come together. You see a burger there. That's a nice looking burger. You don't see French fries with it. Remember, we want to maximize fat loss, but you can have that burger. And you can have any patty you want. You could add cheese to it. And that person who's metabolically flexible can eat that burger and drop weight. You know, years ago, when I had my first infomercial that went all over the world, I had people in Australia, people in Hong Kong, everywhere. And those people who were getting amazing results had great metabolic flexibility. So they were metabolically flexible. They could eat whatever foods they wanted as long as they combined it the way I asked them to combine it, the way they learn. And they would make a fat burning meal like these two meals that you see. And we had people losing like amazing amounts of weight. The biggest weight loss I had was one lady lost 290 pounds. I had another woman who lost 280 pounds. And they were metabolically flexible. So if your score is metabolically flexible, then we're going to tell you that. So you're going to find that out. That's how we start off. Now, I'm going to assume that most people are not going to be metabolically flexible because we know that. Tufts University did a study and they came out and said that 93% of all adults are insulin resistant. They have some level of insulin resistance. So I'm going to assume that 9.5 out of 10 people that are in this challenge who take this assessment, this test, they are not going to be metabolically flexible. They're going to be in the next one. You guys ready for the next one? Okay. Now, you could become partially metabolically flexible depending on your score. Isn't this exciting? Okay. And we're going to have people doing their scores early as tomorrow. Now, anytime you join the challenge, it could be June, it could be whenever, you will have this experience. So if you're catching this video and it's November 2026, just click on the button. You'll get the experience. Again, this is based on right now because we're getting ready to do a live with a group of people to do a challenge. So the difference here between the one that you saw before is that this person does have moderate insulin resistance. That means the cells are not responding the way they used to respond. So the meals are a little different. Give you an example. Look at the burger to the right where it says meal example number 2. Well, that's avocado in this meal. And I'm going to go back and look at that burger. You don't see avocado. You see cheese. So if you're metabolically flexible, you could have avocado, but you could also have cheese, and we can maximize your results. If you score and you are partially metabolically flexible, meaning you have moderate insulin resistance, you're not going to add cheese to your burger because that's going to block you from maximizing fat loss. Oh, what? One little different. Yes. See, the avocado, which you're going to learn in the challenge, helps establish an environment in your body that's going to help insulin rise and come back down. It's going to put you in a anti-inflammatory state. But if you had cheese instead of the avocado, that plays a huge role in whether or not you're getting results every week. Yep, you heard me right. And I'm going to show you the science of how all this works. See, doing this for as many years as I've done it and being consistent at doing it for many years and going with the reality that the world has changed. The way food is grown is different. The animals, what they eat is different. And it's playing a role on our health and our ability to be healthy and to thrive in a big way. Like, you meet those people that say, I'm going to live to be 120 years old. I go, okay, well, you will not live to be 120 years old if you don't have healthy cells. If they don't even know what that means, they're in la la land because you must have cell membrane fluidity if you think you're going to live to be 120 years old. And some of you are like, well, we're not talking to you then. But if you want to live with quality of life, you want to have healthy cells. And you want to have a body that is in a anti-inflammatory state and not a inflammatory state. And the number one trigger for what's going to make that happen is what you eat. And some of you, why eat? Okay, I'm sure you do eat healthy, but I'm talking science. And if you're not combining your foods properly, you can tell me you're eating healthy all day and long. But if you and I sit down and I walk you through, or you're in this challenge, you're going to learn that you have had it wrong. It could be as simple as having avocado on the burger or cheese. And there's a whole bunch of other different combinations, right? So if you look at the meal on the left, meal example number 1, if you have metabolic flexibility, there's a good amount of fat in this meal. There's fat in the steak. There's butter on which has fat on the potato. And guess what? That's a lot of fat. And you got the fast carb, which we call like a potato. If you're not metabolically flexible, that meal right there can disrupt everything that you're working on. It can completely interfere with your ability to lose weight. But if we made a couple changes to it, which you learn in the challenge, then you can be good. Right? So let's look at meal number 1. And then I'm going to go to the next page with someone who does have insulin resistance. They're having salmon. And you're like, what? Salmon has fat in it too, Robert. It's a different fat than the fat in the steak. The fat in the salmon is like the avocado in the burger. It establishes an environment in your body that is anti-inflammatory. And so you're getting the protein with the rice, which is what we call a fast carb. Now, I could put the potato back there, but I didn't want to confuse anybody. So it could be a potato or it could be rice. It doesn't matter. It's the fat for someone who has moderate insulin resistance that makes the difference for them eating this meal and still being able to lose weight. Same as adding avocado, which I like avocado. Now, let's say you don't like avocado, then just don't add cheese. Okay. This is cool. This is cool. All right. So I'm going to show you. There's only 3, right? So depending on your score, you're either going to be metabolically flexible, right? I have like nutritionists, scientists, doctors. They're actually joining the 8-week fat loss challenge just so they can look at my assessment. They want to steal it. And I get it. They can steal it all day, but they don't have a methodology. They don't have anything proven. They don't have a system. They don't have a nutrition system. We have a real legit system, right? So if someone's metabolically flexible, they can basically eat almost anything. If they eat it in the right combinations and proportions, life is great. Then we have number 2. You find out that you're partially metabolically flexible. So you have moderate insulin resistance. And the assessment is like scientific. So now we went over that. So now I'm going to show you the third one. You may score to where you're restricted metabolically flexible, meaning you have higher insulin resistance. Now, the word higher is there for a purpose, because you can say, well, why higher, Robert, and not high? Higher insulin resistance is very clear that we can bring it down. So I'm an optimist. So we go higher insulin resistance. You can still lose weight and you still got to eat food, but we want to maximize in a big way, right? So if you look at meal example number 1, we have lake trout. That has some good omega-3s in it. Tastes good. The fat in it is good fat. So that means it's fatty, but it's a good fat, which helps create the environment in your body so that you can optimize the rise and fall of insulin. And then you have some slow carb vegetables. So the carb count is much lower because there's no what we call fast carbs. That's a nice meal. And then to the right of it, you got a whole bunch of nice little, what I call slow carb vegetables, from cucumbers to, you have some tomatoes, you get some onions up in there, right? You can have some fun. We got chicken breasts. Now, chicken breasts don't really have fat in it. And if you notice, there's no cheese on this salad. See, what you're going to learn is that the fat that you eat with certain carbs is a setup for disaster when you don't have metabolic flexibility. And to make it easy for everybody, once you know where you are, and the good news is that you can improve that, right? So you could be restricted metabolically flexible, and in time get to partially metabolically flexible, and all of us can get back to metabolically flexible. Everybody can get back to this state. And when you get back to this state, it's like reversing the clock, baby. It's like going back in time. Now, I haven't even shared this assessment with my own personal clients that I coach. So the people in this challenge are going to be the first to get to experience it. And you're also going to be the first to experience some of the unique, cool changes that I've made to the methodology that will be the feature in my new book that will come out in November 2026. I haven't written a book since 2011, and I love to write. I've written 6 books. I've written manuals, cookbooks, recipe books. I mean, a lot over the years. I've had 7 columns, national columns in magazines. A lot of people don't even know that. I own my own magazine for 4 years. It was a martial arts publication. I published it. It was in Barnes and Noble and all the stores. I made money on it. Made a lot of money, actually. So I was the publisher and the editor-in-chief. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They know me in nutrition, but people in the martial arts world knew it because I had most of my columns were martial arts related. So I'm a writer. And I've been a writer and a journalist my whole life. I was talking to someone earlier today. My first book was published. And it was titled A Guide to Rape Awareness and Prevention. The first time I was on national television was the Geraldo Show in Good Morning America. This is in the early 90s. So I've been writing forever, speaking forever, helping people forever. Well, it feels like forever. I mean, forever is like thousands of years, but you know what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm sharing this right now, why it's in my head, is because when I wrote my last book in 2011 with Penguin, one of the top publishers in the world, that wasn't a big accomplishment by itself. I've been offered opportunities to write other books with money that I could get, and I could use some money. I think we all could. But I've turned them down because I knew there was something missing. One of the things was missing that I got introduced to 2 years ago, that's a solution, is a company called Zenzino. And they happen to have this test that will give you insight to what your omega-6 to omega-3 ratios are. And I know the importance of that. When I saw that, I was like, wow. And then it spoke to cell membrane fluidity. I'm like, that's king to everything, right? Because you can only be as healthy as your cells. And if I had written a book before that, learning that 2 years ago, I would want to tear that book up, because how can you write a book about nutrition and health and not speak to cell membrane fluidity? I mean, it's like when I meet people and they talk about health and nutrition and they don't understand what cell membrane fluidity is, or the importance of understanding omega-6 to omega-3. I go, they have no idea. Like all these people that push different programs, let's say you're pushing peptides, or you're pushing GLP-1s, or you're whatever you're pushing. If part of what you're sharing does not include cell membrane fluidity, omega-6 to omega-3 ratios, if that's not being addressed, that person's lost, right? Because I would have been lost. So if I had written a book 3 years ago, I'd be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed. So for all you health gurus, if I were you, reach out to me, reach out to somebody. Don't be embarrassed, because the proof is in the test, and the blood tells us everything. The cell membrane tells us a lot. Okay. So now knowing that, and then I kept saying, this insulin resistance is real. I need to come up with a way that makes sense to help a person figure out, are you metabolically flexible, as you can see on the screen? Are you partially metabolically flexible, meaning you have some insulin resistance? According to Tufts University, 93% of all adults have some. So that means you're either partially metabolically flexible, or you're restricted metabolically flexible, and your doctor's not helping you with this because they don't even know. Many of my clients who are doctors, they don't know this. I'm teaching them this all the time. They don't know this. And when you don't know this, okay, you can learn it, but a lot of them are too prideful. And so because they're not going to go do their due diligence and do the work, then all of their patients are shorted. That's what happens. It's ego, man, and pride that blocks a lot of us from getting access to the real information. But in this challenge, it's different. This challenge is different. So, any questions? Cecilia, what's up, Cecilia? You know what? I'm glad I went over to Facebook and saw you there, because, and I know you come to YouTube. All of my clients who experience this, I'm telling you what they're going to do. They're going to say, Robert, I've been with you forever. I support you. I believe in you. I come back to you. But you did a good job here. This makes sense. This makes more sense. What I've done has always made sense, right? And that's just, but I'm so thankful that I stay humble and I stay driven to learn, to be in a position where now it makes even more sense. So if I met me today who's sharing this, and I talked to me in 2000, just let's say 10 years ago, man, I would really like me right now. If I was, so I would, and I would be humble back then, because I would actually listen to me today, 10 years older. Okay. It's been, and who knew, man? I'm so excited about this. I am so excited about it. And I can't wait for you guys and people to experience it. So, and who knows, I never say never, because I don't know what the future is going to hold. I don't know what it holds. I have no clue. I really don't. And what I mean by that is I didn't see this coming. Right? To be able to share with you restricted metabolically flexible. And if that's you, it's kind of like discovering you're allergic to shrimp. And you go, okay, that's part of my problem. I'm allergic to shrimp and I like shrimp. And that's why my face keep blowing up. Okay. Now you know that you're restricted metabolically flexible. You know that because of the assessment, the test you're going to take. Now you know. Do you go eat shrimp even though you know you're allergic to it? I don't think so. Well, some people do. And that wouldn't be wise. So now it comes back to you. Once you know where you are, and as I shared the other day, and I'll never forget hearing this for the first time. It was like 2008 or 2009. I was in a marketing room, and they had added this phrase to what I was going to say on the stage. I was doing a talk to like 5,000 people. And they wanted me to say this, quote, once you know how your body works, and then I went on to say something else. Each one of us must get to that place where we know how our body works. And now I am making it available to you from a biological and a physiological standpoint, that we have a quick assessment. You answer the questions. Boom. You're restricted, metabolically flexible. You're partially metabolically flexible, or you're metabolically flexible, meaning insulin sensitive. That's the game changer. That changes everything. I think I'm done. Any questions? And for those of you who are on a mission to improve your health, I'm excited for you. I'm excited because I believe this is going to be a game changer. All right, I'm out.
In a world of dice, there's a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feels so right. With diet-free life, the health future's